And Florida, everybody knew like Florida's been so Jekyll and Hyde this year. They're not that good without Keontae Johnson. Like that was one that, again, I love the regular line in that. I don't think I took the money line. I probably should have. But nobody trusts Florida. Nobody trusted them. This wasn't a huge upset. Just, the fact that, to me, we've got, and I tweeted this out a little while ago, and I think you responded on the text thread, one of these four teams going to the Final Four. Houston, which, again, okay, that's legit. They've been good all year. Syracuse, who was basically very close to not making the NCAA tournament. Loyola Chicago, of which, again, their best win was Drake all year. And Oregon State, who, amazingly, I forgot. I tweeted out the Pac-12 preseason poll. They weren't just dead last, Rob. They were like, they got every vote for last place in a league that sucked this year. Sucked. And I know they're 6-0 right now. I get it. But they weren't good. Let's face it. They've gotten a little bit of luck with some of their teams so far in the NCAA tournament. They were dead last, Wayne Tinkle. And Tinkle and Hinkle, that should have trended. I don't know if it did, but like, how was Tinkle and Hinkle not trending last night?
Because I don't think anybody knows that Wayne Tinkle is the head coach at – how many people know that? Not very many people know that.
I don't know. He had a sweatshirt too. So he wasn't sweating last night because he's got like a pullover or something. It's not the same without Tinkle in a dress shirt absolutely dripping through. And we should tweet out that picture at some point.
All right, so let's before we get into today's games, we got to talk a little bit about Oral Roberts and a little bit about Oregon State and that win, and probably need to touch on Syracuse winning as well. So Oral Roberts getting to the Sweet 16, obviously, like, that's probably the biggest storyline here. They're the second ever 15 seed to make it that far. The first one obviously was Dunk City. And I mean, look, they have two guys that are going to end up playing basketball professionally for a long time. They have a brilliant coach that just literally just puts them in ball screens over and over and over again and spaces the floors with shooters, and nobody can figure out what the hell to do with it. What is going on here? How did that team finish fourth in the Summit League? It makes no sense. College basketball makes no sense.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, and I still wonder how many people are pronouncing Max Asmus's name wrong.
A lot.
I mean, has anybody asked his parents what's up with the spelling of the last name? Have you heard anybody? Like, I want to get his parents on a Zoom call and just explain it to me. How that's not Abmus. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm going to start calling you Goose Man.
Should I do that on one of their availabilities this week? Should I ask him?
Yeah, absolutely. Ask him how is your last name? Why isn't it Abness?
I'm going to find out their next immediate availability. It'll be like tomorrow probably, or maybe we'll try to get him on the pod. Maybe we'll try to get him on tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do it. So the one thing I do want to note about that game, which I thought was fascinating, was Paul Mills' decision to intentionally foul with 3 minutes left. Did you see that?
Yeah, well, it was smart. I mean, they fouled a 50% free throw shooter, and he missed the front end of a 1-and-1. It was absolutely huge and so brilliant. More coaches don't do that. Like, more coaches don't do that when you're in a position where you got to make up ground. Play the numbers, and he played them there, and it worked. Yep,
it's something that I think more teams need to do, and it's something that we see NBA teams do a lot of. And look, like, the way that he explained it after the game was we weren't getting any stops at all. So I just figured this was probably the best way to do it. We only had one more opportunity in the 1-on-1, so just get it done. And it ended up being huge because that was the first point that they took the lead in the second half, because they weren't getting. He's right. They weren't getting any stops. They were kind of trading baskets. They kept cutting the lead, and they weren't able to get over the top. And they missed the free throw, and they come down the next possession, and I think it was Kevin O'Banner scored, and they went up 77-76 and never looked back. Right? They after that foul, Florida only scored 2 points the rest of the game. So good for him. Good for them. We'll see if they can end up making a run. I think that Arkansas is a pretty terrible matchup for them, given how Arkansas wants to play with Justin Smith at the 5. So the Oregon State one, like, that was very frustrating for me to watch. Cade Cunningham.
Cade. Like, even though we're rooting for Tinkle, we're rooting for Oregon State in the upset, but everybody's rooting for Cade Cunningham because it's just, you hate to say it, but it's a better story at this point. You've
I
got
just wanted to see him make a run, man. Like,
Right.
look, and that's nothing against Oregon
Because
State.
we love Cade. Not only do we love Cade on the court, but like Cade has just done everything the way that you want a number one player to do it, hasn't he? I mean, had a chance to bolt with his brother or without his brother for money or for another program when the NCAA hit Oklahoma State with a 1-year postseason ban. He's been like the consummate best teammate you can possibly find. Way too unselfish. As the number one overall pick, like most guys are just about themselves. Cade's been all about the right things all year. So, like, yeah, we're and on the court again. Like, he's a stud. He's just so talented, so much fun to watch, and he struggled in the tournament. He struggled in these 2 games.
Yeah, I think what we really saw was kind of the limitations of his supporting cast. You know, there aren't a lot of shooters on that floor. When Avery Anderson isn't scoring 20 points a game, there really isn't another option. You could send 2 and 3 guys at him and trust that you're not going to have to worry about it. Like, I saw all these criticisms. Like, one guy from ESPN tweeted out, like, he's limited on the number of 2-point percentage shots that he can make. And it's like, what are you watching this? Like, he puts the ball on the floor. He's got 6 guys in front of him. There's no space.
Said that?
Kevin Pelton was worried about the percentage that he was shooting from 3. And it's like, I get it, right? Like, that's something that you look for.
Yeah.
That's a marker that you look for, but you have to also be able to like see what's happening on the court and understand how this works, right? Part of the reason why we're so bullish on him, like that, we've made this point over and over again, but the thing that he does best is manipulate defenses with the pass and be able to move people around with his eyes. And you can't do that when defenses don't have to pay attention to the guys on the wings. Like, you could throw a pass like this and have it be like a great pass, but if you're throwing to an 8% 3-point shooter that no one has to guard, then what's the use? So that was part of the, like, and that was another part of the criticism where it's like, how come Cade Cunningham isn't trying to take this game over? Well, he tried to, but it's very difficult to hit like contested 22 footers over and over and over again. That's not his game. That's not what he does best. So I think to me, what that showed was a little bit of the limitations of Oklahoma State's roster and kind of how impressive it was that Mike Boynton got them playing to the level that they played this season. I'll also note that was one of the dumbest games I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, there were so many decisions by both teams that just had me like, what the hell are you doing? Why did you think that was a good idea? I don't think I've ever said that more in one game than watching Oregon State and Oklahoma State last night. It was just, oh man, it looked like a bunch of kids at the end of a long, grinding, brutal season.
Yep. What else we got?
Syracuse, Buddy Boeheim going nuts. 23 second half points, scored 25.
I love Buddy.
Every year. Like, I don't understand. I do not understand for the life of me how Syracuse can just dick around for 4 months every season and then show up to the NCAA tournament. And all of a sudden, nobody can figure out that zone, and someone on that roster turns into fucking Steph Curry. I do not understand it. How does this work? It doesn't make sense to me. And also, like, I love how it's turned like Jim Boeheim into just the most condescending douchebag on the planet. Like, it's when
great.
Like,
it's great.
It's so funny. Like, it's so funny to me when Syracuse like is awful for most of the year and then has these unbelievable runs in March, and Jim Boeheim is like, well, I told you that this is what we were going to be able to do. Like, nobody wanted to believe me, but this is how good we are. I told you, if you were taller than 5'2" and played basketball before in your life, maybe you would understand it if you were like me.
What did he say? He called out bloggers yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know. He said nothing you read on the internet is true. It's so funny, man.
That's who we need to bring on. We need to get Boeheim on this week somehow. We need to find a way. Listen, Boeheim and I have got at it plenty over the years, but we're pretty good. And honestly, I really think he'll forever be indebted to me in his mind, because I wrote a big story about Buddy and him at the Peach Jam a few years ago before Buddy committed, and sat down with Buddy, and Buddy's the best, man. He's the absolute best. And I'm really happy.
When he hits threes and he tries to look all tough and hard with like his baby face, and like it's very clear like he only gets hair right here on his chin. It's just like, dude, you're Buddy Boeheim. Like, settle.
He's the biggest.
His snarls are just hilarious. And Joe Girard, like, how is Joe Girard a basketball player? Like, that dude's like 5'11". He's kind of chunky. He has very much like 80s. His hair is very much like 80s sitcom dad with the way it's kind of slicked back. Like he's got to get rid of the goatee. I do not understand how Syracuse is good this year. It does not make sense to me, but here they are.
They've got enough good players. I mean, Dolage was good yesterday. Guerrier is good. Like they've got enough good players. They don't have a star, but Buddy's been shooting like a star. And if he does,
I don't get it, man. But good for them.